I would like to talk a little bit about leg protection. I think there's a lot of people out there that wonder why we use polo wraps, why we use splint boots, why certain horses wear bell boots and others don't, why we wrap their knees. So I would like to explain that a little bit today. When we first start out, we ride our 2-year-olds in splint boots only. Maybe, even for the first 30 days, we won't put anything on there. But then we just put splint boots on them. Usually depends a little bit on the horse. For the first 90 to 120 days, they will be wearing just splint boots. Splint boots are fast and easy to put on. In the end of the day, you can wash them off. Usually they are dry again the next day. It's just a quick and easy deal. And anybody can really put them on. You can't make any major mistakes in splint boots. There's not a high risk involved like on some of the wrapping there is. Usually then, once they graduate out of the splint boots, is when they do a little bit more. Then we need a little bit more support for the leg, and we're going to start wrapping it. Just like a boxer would wrap their hands too, same thing there. We'll wrap their legs because it supports them a little bit better. Also, the splint boots are sometimes a little dirtier version because there's a lot of dirt that will come in on the top, and then while they're moving around, it'll work its way down. The polo wraps are usually a lot closer to the legs. There's no empty spaces in there where dirt can get caught and can rub them. So usually we'll go put the polo wraps on, and then we'll ride them in just polo wraps for a while. Later on, the knee boot will follow. In the first part of their career, when we first start these horses, they don't turn very fast. They learn step, they learn rhythm, but then once they get to turning a little faster, it is always a good decision to protect their knees a little bit. Most of the time, we'll just put one on that'll wrap that whole knee so front and back is protected. That means no matter which way that horse will turn, it'll still protect both knees. And for the most part, most horses won't hit their knees very hard, but just in case they do, it's sure nice to make sure you got them wrapped. And there's all sorts of different products out there that you could use for that. And it's just a good preventative measure to avoid any kind of injury. As far as the bell boots go, usually on those horses that don't wear any front shoes, we usually don't put any bell boots on there. Because what happens, a lot of times the bell boots will rub on them and cause scratches, especially when you're in a little bit more of a humid area. Scratches are usually a big problem there. So if you can, try to leave them off, but if turning, that horse will step on itself, or if you are scared that running and stopping, it might have a little heel laceration, it might cut itself with a hind foot, then go ahead and put bell boots on. But same thing there, if you have a horse that you feel like you need to use bell boots on, use those bell boots only when you're actually doing maneuvers, when you're actually turning, stopping, doing all of that. If you're just having a light ride and you just want to exercise, polo wraps might be all you're going to need for that. With any kind of leg protection, I always want you to have in mind that you got to watch their legs. Sometimes when we start changing things, when we start using the polos, when we start putting bell boots on them, you will see small cuts maybe, or they will get rubbed from the dirt that's on there. So always keep a close eye on your legs and make a decision from there on out. You know what, maybe I shouldn't put a knee boot on them. Maybe the knee boot is rubbing on them. Maybe you need to change to another product. That's going to be your best bet, is watching their legs and acting accordingly. Another thing is on their hind legs. A lot of times, I'd say 99% of all horses are okay without any wraps. There's going to be a few horses that will hit themselves behind turning. On those horses, we usually wrap their hind legs too for protection. What we always do when we run and stop is we put skid boots on there. There's several different products out there too that are very user-friendly. Some are more, some are less. But what they do is they avoid that when a horse goes down there and stops, it'll bend his hind leg, and a lot of times that ankle will touch the ground, so they get burns back there. That's why they should be wearing skid boots, to avoid those burns. There's some that are kind of a combination of a splint boot and a skid boot. That's good for horses that'll actually hit themselves, so they need a little bit more protection for the whole ride, not just for stopping. Those are usually very good for that.